High above the crowded streets where the noise of traffic fades into a distant hum, entire worlds exist, hidden not in forests or deserts, but in towers of steel and glass. Imagine stepping into an elevator, pressing a button for the 40th floor, and discovering a community whose daily rhythms, rituals, and identities are shaped not by landscapes, but by altitude. These are the high-rise nomads, the subcultures born in vertical cities. It seems like a strange idea at first. Nomads were once people who wandered across vast plains, deserts, and mountains. Yet in the age of vertical living, the wandering continues, only now it happens between lobbies, rooftops, and elevators. The city skyline has become the new step, and its towers the new tents. Take Hong Kong, where more than 7 million people squeeze into one of the most densely populated corners of Earth. Here, the apartment is not just a home. It is a tiny island, often no bigger than a parking space. Families live stacked upon strangers, hundreds of feet in the air. Some communities hardly ever set foot on the ground. Children play on rooftop playgrounds. Groceries are delivered to the 60th floor. Elderly neighbors swap gossip in corridors 20 stories above the street. Over time, the tower itself becomes a village, and its residents a tribe. But the story of high-rise life is not simply one of cramped survival. It is also one of creativity. In Tokyo, tiny capsule hotels once designed for tired businessmen evolved into havens for artists, students, and digital wanderers. They transformed narrow sleeping pods into canvases of self-expression. The walls of some capsules glow with neon graffiti, others echo with shared playlists passed from pod to pod. These residents live suspended between anonymity and intimacy, separated by walls just inches thick, yet bound by a shared culture of transience. Even in the towers of New York, unexpected communities flourish. In the 1970s, abandoned high-rises in the Bronx became secret gathering spots for the birth of hip-hop. DJs hauled massive speakers up broken stairwells, graffiti artists tagged forgotten rooftop water tanks, and breakdancers practiced on linoleum laid down in empty apartments. These vertical ruins, once symbols of urban decay, became the fertile soil for one of the world's most influential cultural revolutions. These vertical ruins, once symbols of urban decay, became the fertile soil for one of the world's most influential cultural revolutions. Sometimes the high-rise nomads are not human at all. In Bangkok, whole colonies of swifts, birds prized for their edible nests, inhabit unused floors of tall buildings. Landlords discovered they could make more money letting birds occupy their towers than people. The line between natural habitat and human architecture blurred, creating vertical aviaries in the heart of the city. But not every story is celebratory. Life high above the ground can breed alienation. Sociologists call it vertical loneliness, the paradox of being surrounded by thousands of neighbors, yet knowing none of them. In Sao Paulo, towering apartment blocks stretch for miles, their windows glowing like constellations. Yet behind many of those lights, single residents sit in silence, connected to the world only through glowing screens. The same height that promises freedom from the chaos of the streets can also become a cage. Still, where humans feel constraint, they invent rituals of escape. In Seoul, rooftop barbecues became a phenomenon, neighbors climbing to the top of their towers to grill meat, drink soju, and laugh under neon skies. In Mumbai, rooftop cricket is a rite of passage, where children balance makeshift wickets between water tanks and play their own version of the national obsession. Across the world, rooftops turn into theaters, nightclubs, gardens, even secret temples. The higher you go, the closer you feel to the gods, or at least to a kind of freedom. One of the strangest tribes of vertical cities is the elevator family. In Singapore's public housing blocks, residents who ride the same elevator every day often develop bonds stronger than those with their actual neighbors. The daily ritual of stepping into a confined space, waiting in silence or chatting briefly, creates a rhythm of shared life. In some towers, people even mark major life events, birthdays, weddings, funerals, by inviting their elevator friends. The elevator becomes a moving living room, a reminder that even in the most compressed spaces, culture blooms. But what happens when the high-rise itself becomes temporary? In Dubai, glittering skyscrapers rise and fall almost as quickly as desert mirages. Entire luxury towers built for speculation stand half-empty, inhabited by a transient global elite. Their residents are digital nomads with passports full of stamps, people who live nowhere and everywhere at once. In these towers, you might never know your neighbor's name, but you'll recognize their Wi-Fi signal. This is a new kind of nomadism, not across deserts or oceans, but across skylines. And then, there are the rebels, the ones who reject the order of vertical living and carve out hidden sanctuaries. In Caracas, Venezuela, squatters once took over the unfinished Tower of David, a 45-story skeleton of concrete abandoned by developers. Families built homes inside its hollow frame, complete with shops, barbers, and schools. For years, it was a functioning vertical city-state, feared by outsiders but cherished by those within. Though eventually evacuated, it remains a legend, proof that even ruins can give rise to tribes in the sky. Perhaps the most haunting truth about high-rise nomads is this: our future is theirs. By 2050, nearly 70% of humanity will live in cities, and many of those cities will grow not outward, but upward. Towers will stretch into the clouds, connected by aerial bridges, vertical farms, and floating neighborhoods. Children may grow up believing that ground level is an exotic place, visited only on holidays. Already architects in China and the Middle East dream of vertical villages, self-contained ecosystems where one tower holds everything from homes to hospitals, schools to cemeteries. The question is not whether subcultures will emerge, but what shape they will take. Will skyscrapers breed isolation, each apartment a digital cocoon? Or will they give rise to new tribes, bound together by height instead of land? Perhaps one day people will look back on tents and wagons and see skyscrapers as their modern descendants, a continuation of humanity's oldest habit to gather, adapt, and invent culture wherever we roam, even if the roaming happens between floors. The world of high-rise nomads reminds us that history is not only written on maps of nations and rivers, but in the stairwells, rooftops, and elevators of our vertical age. Cities are no longer flat. They are layered, stacked, and alive. And within those layers, hidden in plain sight, are the stories of people who have built